Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. What if I told you your voice isn't just meant to be heard, but felt? There's a fire in your story, a truth the world needs, but too many are still whispering when they were born to resonate. I'm Brad Walsh, and I created a free masterclass called Empower Your Voice, 5 Secrets to Becoming an In-Demand Podcast Guest, because I believe your voice deserves a stage. If you're ready to speak with power, purpose, and presence, it's time to own your truth, be heard, and be unforgettable. Click the link in the show notes to sign up now. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Alyscia Cunningham. She is a photographer, filmmaker, tactile artist, TEDx speaker, the founder of Her House Media, and the founder of Brown Women in Arts. Also a multifaceted award-winning author. Welcome, Alyscia. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me, Brad. Happy to be here.
It is my honor and my pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today to share a little bit about your story, your journey, and the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. I am so excited to jump in. So with that being said, let's jump right in.
All right, sounds good.
Now, you wear a hell of a lot of hats. that is an extensive resume.
Go ahead.
And I noticed there's one common thread running through all of it, and that is the arts.
Yes.
Was there a defining moment or experience that ignited your passion for art, leading you into becoming the artist that you are today? And what was the first art form you were introduced to?
My dad is an artist, and so
Okay.
he was actually the first art form that I was introduced to. The first time I knew that I was an artist was in the 3rd grade. This was at that time we were still living in New York, and I used to trace. At that time, you had tracing paper.
Yeah.
And for school, and I decided, I was like, let me just try freehand. So I was looking at the New York Times. They had the comic section, and I just looked at Garfield. And I was like, let me just see if I can draw Garfield without tracing it. And I was shocked that I can actually, it looked just like the image. Oh gosh, I can draw. So it started from there. And then that was my first realization that I was also an artist. And then went to college. I went to a local community college, all about local. I really believe in local schooling, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Honestly, I was undecided. And I took a drawing class because I love to draw. And I don't know what it was about that professor, but I always drew portraits. I really loved, the time that I knew that I can draw portraits, I actually drew a picture of Tupac. He was on Rolling Stone's cover magazine. And then I was like, oh man, I can also draw portraits now. I think that wasn't until maybe the 9th, 10th grade. So when I did take that drawing class in school, the professor was like, I think you should try photography. I think you'd be really good at photography. Not sure how he figured, put 1 and 2 together, but I went from there into photography, and then that was history.
Amazing. And so what drives, motivates, and inspires you to keep going and excelling at all that you do?
I just say I'm really big on being an example, not just saying what I'm going to do, but I cannot see myself telling my children to push themselves and go after their dreams if I'm not. So really, my children are my biggest inspiration. Yeah.
And I'm curious, what are your thoughts on formal art training? And in your opinion, do you think it's absolutely necessary, or are you of the mind that you don't need formal training to be an artist? It's just, you can just jump in and figure it out kind of thing.
So with that, I think it's really dependent on the individual. I think some people it's really important for art training. Some people, they are just able to just jump right in. I've been able to do both. And I feel like it worked for me. I do think as an artist, one thing that even if you don't do formal art training, one thing that you should absolutely do is figure out some kind of business. A big business course, I think, is vital.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's the common thing among artists, I think, is all we want to do is create. We don't want to worry about the business side of things. That side of the brain, that's where our focus is, just creating the art and making the art. It's not about the business side, but it is such an important piece. Absolutely. If you're going to start a business, that you know what the hell you're doing, even though as artists, you don't want to delve into that side of things.
It goes hand in hand. It's so important to understand those both aspects. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I hear a lot of people say that I don't have a creative bone in my body. I'm not creative or whatever the case. I hear it all the time. What are your thoughts on that when someone's, I'm sure you've heard people say that
All
to
the
you as
time.
well. What do you tell them? What's your response to that? And what's your belief around that?
Yeah, people say that all the time. And it's really, we are creating every day. So whether you're creating, some people might be good in writing a letter. That's creative. I'm not so good with that. Some people might be great with picking up a camera and being an amazing cinematographer. Some people are creative in public speaking. Some people are creative like being a mother. That is a whole that's a whole group of creativity on its own. So we're all creative in some form, all of us.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's just there are so many ways you can be creative.
Yes.
As a chef, as
Right.
any of those things that you mentioned as
Right.
well. There's many ways to be
Right.
creative. I think we all innately have creativity within us.
Yes. Yeah. And oftentimes people often tell me, "Oh, I meet a lot of women that are like, oh, I love the work that you're doing as a filmmaker. I'm trying. I'm not really a filmmaker." And I think that oftentimes we feel like we need to be put into this box of if I haven't produced this film or if I haven't done a film, you're still an artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Now, you've chosen to express your truth across many mediums: film, photography, tactile art. What do you feel each one of those reveals about your soul that others can't?
Really, for me, it's, I think, authenticity. I am really big on, I feel like each project that I've worked on has taken me on a journey because of that project. For example, with tactile, I didn't get into until I was introduced. I was actually told about not being including accessibility in my film. So then that took me into another journey into exhibition that was accessible. And that took me into film, making it accessible. So it's like I'm just really, authenticity is really what's taken me through this journey, because I'm taking what I learned and I'm putting it into the work that I create, and it's just expanding it into other
Yeah,
mediums.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so, was there a pivotal moment when you realized that your art wasn't just an expression, but more of a vehicle for liberation, both for yourself and for others?
Yes, I would say that was the first time when I saw someone. I was actually in San Diego. I think this was 2013. I was at the Agent for America conference. They selected my application, although I was the only artist there. And I was in between. I remember there was the bulk of the companies that were there were these age-defying products. And here we are in this aging for conference that I think, well, we should be embracing the aging process. And instead we had people trying to go against it.
Yeah.
And I'm the only artist in this big conference room. We had boards, these large boards where all the companies put their different products. And I just had pictures of feminine transitions, which was just the raw portraits of women from young to seniority. And there were two women that were standing there and they were crying.
Wow.
Not like boohoo crying, but just
Yeah.
tears.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I wish I would have had a camera then, but at that same time, that memory is so beautiful. And they just told me that I'm just thank you. Because here I am in this conference feeling so horrible about myself because I'm seeing products dye your hair, products, a lot of wrinkling prevention. And here you are with just these beautiful portraits of women just showing that we're beautiful. So that's when I realized in that moment. Yeah.
What that is a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
And in that setting, your work was the antithesis. Like it's the exact opposite of what they're there to do. And it sends such a horrible message that industry, that all of these things are needed and women need these things and you need to feel young and you need to look young. And you're right. Why can't we just grow old gracefully and just let the process take its natural course?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't invited back out after that. It's been so funny. The people in the room were not happy that I was there. I felt that energy, but that's okay. Yeah.
You did your job.
Right,
you quite possibly helped these women
see
see that, no, I don't need to buy into this bullshit
Yes, exactly.
narrative.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's powerful.
Yeah. And I was happy to be there to do that. Yeah.
Mission accomplished. But why did you get invited? Why did you apply for this conference specifically?
I think someone sent me, I can't remember who sent me that, but they're like, I think this would be great for you because of the work that you're doing with women. My first project, actually, that I was working on as my first book. So I just applied to it. And, but I was honest. I'm an author and I have books that I'm able to sell. And this is what I'm working on. And I was surprised, honestly, that my application was approved. But whoever was a part of that, in that submission process, approved my application then.
Well,
Yeah.
you were there for a reason, and you did what you were sent there to do, what
Yes.
you did.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Alyscia, what do you believe your art says about the world that words cannot express?
So I feel like that one was a little, as far as words not expressing, I think it can, I think it's more so just the emotion. So it may be different for everyone, but I know that it is definitely based in self-love
Yeah.
and just really wanting people. So all of my work focuses on women because I'm a woman. That's what I can relate to.
Yeah.
But I feel like we all go through these challenges and we're bombarded with so many media images. So I really think
Mhm.
it is just self-love and that can be different for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it all starts, is with
Right.
self-love.
Exactly.
We're the
Yeah.
foundation for that.
Yes. Yeah.
So if your art was the only voice in the world, what message would you want it to scream?
I would want it to scream love. Yeah. That's what it would be. It would be love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
highest vibration on the planet.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, what does it mean to you personally to be a woman artist in this particular moment right now in history?
I love being a woman. I love being an artist. So for me, by itself is impact. And impact for me is everything.
Yeah.
That's really it. Yeah. Yeah.
And reflecting on your artistic journey, how have you evolved as an artist, both in terms of style and the messages that you're aiming to convey through your art in all the formats that you create in?
Yeah. So what I do love is through my journey, kind of similar to what I mentioned before, is that I recognize that all of my experiences have inspired each project. For example, the first experience with the reason I ended up creating Feminine Transitions was my first book was because I had a really well-known photographer that looked at my work and was like, it's so beautiful, but wrinkles are ugly. So I should Photoshop it.
Wow.
So then that inspired Feminine Transitions. And then in the process of Feminine Transitions, I was told that I shouldn't cut my hair. I did a big chop because the woman is no longer beautiful without her hair. So that inspired I Am More Than My Hair. And then I Am More Than My Hair was the accessibility was inspired by one of the women saying, there's no accessibility in your film. So then I created accessibility. So I felt like
Yeah.
each project I have worked on was inspired by, it started off by me being really pissed off at comments.
Yeah.
And it led to just a beautiful journey. Has not been easy, most definitely, but it has been inspired by each experience. And I just listened.
What did you say to the photographer that said wrinkles are ugly? Like, how did you respond to that?
I honestly was shocked. And I was a really young, just getting out of college. And I asked her, I was really confused. I'm like, well, why would you say that? Because she said you should never show a woman. I took a picture of a pregnant woman. And so she said that you should never, she started off by saying this is such a beautiful picture, but you should never take a picture of a pregnant woman and not Photoshop her wrinkles, her stretch marks. So I was like, really? I'm like, well, I'm confused. Why would you do that? She said, because it's ugly. Yeah. Nobody wants to see stretch marks. I was like, I don't think it's ugly. This is a process of a woman's body naturally changes. And she was like, no, it's really ugly. So I really got really upset and I closed my portfolio. I didn't want her to watch the rest of my work. And I left and I never returned to that portfolio session again. I did follow up with an email and I just said that I thought that it was really unprofessional for someone to, especially as a woman, to say that a woman is ugly with our natural changing body. But thankfully to her, she pissed me off so much that I created a project.
That's absolutely horrible. I know for me, when I'm editing, I'm very light-handed with my editing, and I never remove anything unless it is blemishes or stray hairs. That's it. Because when you go as far as in Photoshop, liquefying the body or liquefying the midriff area, the hips, whatever, you're altering that you are changing that woman.
Exactly.
You're not, these photographs are about capturing the women in their natural essence, who they are. Why would you alter it? You're changing that. You're essentially changing that person.
Yes. Yeah. And at that time, I just gotten into photography I just got into photography at school. I was just graduated and I went from this, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the process. All the chemicals are horrible. And then right when I graduated, it's this whole thing with these schools. I did school photography at that time. So I worked as a school photographer. And they just got started with this Photoshop the kids' braces, Photoshop a mole. I'm like, what are you telling these kids about themselves?
Yes.
This is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, liquefy this.
Yeah.
No, what the hell are you thinking? Yeah. You are altering the person. We are here to capture the person who they are. Now, what do you say, or have you come across this, where a client has asked you to specifically remove things or liquefy things, what do you say to that? How do you respond to that?
I said, I'm the wrong photographer. I'm really honest. I've had to say that up front. Like, this is not what I do. So I started marketing myself as this is it's raw beauty.
Yeah.
If you need someone else to capture you and take out your wrinkles and smooth out your skin or liquefy your skin, it's not me.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. That's the same thing. I was doing corporate headshots at an accounting firm. I remember one of the women wanted me to, she said she didn't like how one eyebrow was higher than can I adjust them? Can I adjust this side of her mouth? Come on, we're changing. I'm not a digital artist that way. I don't do that. I'm not digitally reconstructing your face. I'm sorry. That's not what I do.
Exactly. And then can you imagine, for me, is if you see a picture like that and then you look in the mirror and you see yourself, that's a hard acceptance.
You're right. We are sending the wrong message as photographers who do things like that. And the fact that women are asking for things like that is horribly sad, because I think that this false image of beauty has been created by the media, by social media, by all these airbrushed magazine covers and all this other you are creating a false sense of what are we teaching our young girls?
Exactly. Yeah.
It needs to change.
Yeah, it absolutely does. But it definitely starts from within. It starts from inside the household, especially.
Yeah,
because it was our parents that we learned. It doesn't mean that we're not, of course, definitely influenced by social media, but having that stronger foundation at home is so vital.
Absolutely, 100%. Do you believe that art has the power to shift culture or even consciousness? And if so, how?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Art has the power to create change. And that's simply by someone watching the work of an artist and connecting with it, because it makes you think differently. So that shift of mindset is definitely the power to create. It's the power of creating change.
Yeah. What has the journey, I want to talk a little bit about In Her House Media. What has the journey of being a her in Her House Media taught you about visibility, voice, and sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I'll start that over.
Okay. That's all right.
Alyscia, what has the journey of being a her in Her House Media taught you about visibility, voice, and validation?
It has taught me that it is hard. That's what it is. It's something, but I'm always up for a challenge. Being a female independent director with all that I do, especially being a woman of color, it's not the easiest. It's constantly of having to prove myself. Funding is always most definitely one of the hardest aspects of any kind of work. But it's also taught me that I have to be consistent. So it's consistent, even though me having to do the work I do maybe even 10 times harder, it's like consistent. It definitely pays off.
Can you tell us a little bit about Her House Media? Why you started it, when you started it, what the inspiration was, and what it's all about?
Yes. So Her House Media is a production company that I launched. I launched it back in 2020. And before that, I just had it as AC Media. Excuse me. But I wanted to have something that had more of an impact, that focuses specifically on independent film and books by women of color, focused on documentary and horror. And that's my two favorite genres. Happens to be what I work on. So I was like, what better thing to do than to launch a company that I can also support other women of color in the same genre. So documentary and horror that has an impact. So it's not documentary, definitely impactful. I'm not into any stereotypical role. So if it's narrative horror, then it has to still have an impact to it. No unnecessary gore, no stereotypes. I don't like to feed into any of that. So I figured if I launch what I love to create, then I'll connect with women in the same field.
Amazing. I love that. And so as a documentary filmmaker, what responsibility do you feel when you step behind the lens to tell someone else's truth?
My responsibility is to allow them to tell their truth, really. I don't like to wash things up or make it any lighter, but also I really care about these women when I meet them. So I also make sure that I have a connection with them. I establish a connection with them beforehand, and that not just am I trying to get this story, but I want to make sure before I put the story out into the world that they see it. That's really important. And provide me with any thoughts that they have before moving forward. But they are my responsibility. If they trust me to be in their lives, to share their stories with me. And even though they might sign a contract to say, hey, I agreed to you doing this. If anyone have said, I really don't want to do this anymore, I pull the story. Because I think it's important.
For sure. Integrity. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't just create content, you create consciousness through your work. What conversations are you most committed to igniting through your art?
I'm most committed to having just conscious conversations that are authentic. So I want people to be honest with me because I'm going to be honest. And I just want people to feel, I feel like I have a really good, I have a really, one of my character traits when I connect with people is they tend to just let their guard down. So I do know, I recognize that. And some things that they've told me they haven't even shared with and they've told me that these things they've shared with me, they've never shared with their best friend, they haven't shared with their spouse. And I do believe that it's just because I show up as my authentic self.
Yeah.
Not that their spouse or their friend isn't authentic, but I feel like I come into the room and people feel like they can just relax.
And trust you.
Yes, and trust me. Yeah.
Which is incredibly important, especially when you're creating art around them.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
What is one truth that you wish every woman creator knew about claiming space, telling her story, and owning her voice? Because we know women have a lot of trouble with owning their voice.
Yes. Right. One thing that I wish they would know is that they can do it. That's the biggest thing that I feel like I'm constantly telling women is you have the idea, don't wait for permission, just do it. And oftentimes I feel like a lot of us are always waiting for funding, always waiting for money to get it done. And I've realized that when you just put it out there and say, hey, I'm working on this project, I just need help. Reach out to the different communities. People will help you and not worry and not be concerned about the money. But I think the biggest thing is just having the faith to just push yourself and do it. Yeah.
Love it.
You got to get families.
Absolutely. And that's it. It just takes those first steps to just start and believe in yourself and trust in the process, and you will get there. Yes. You will find your people.
You will, most definitely. Yeah.
What do you want your legacy to whisper into the ears of the next generation of women creators?
That's a big one. I would say I want them to be able to see someone that had the idea to do something and just did it, despite the odds, despite the doubt, because I definitely have doubt. And that from that, they are also able to see the journey that I've done, have the inspiration to do it for themselves as well, and whatever that might be in their life. Yeah. Because I share oftentimes my obstacles, I share my challenges, and then I also share the joys of what happened after just pushing through. I would love for that to be for them to be able to say that I can do this too, not just say it, but to actually do it. Yeah. As well.
That's that authenticity piece and sharing being vulnerable and sharing that you too have struggles. So I'm curious then, when you do face those struggles where you maybe not believe in a project or you're having moments of doubt, how do you overcome those? What do you do for yourself to help through that process?
Yeah, I feel like I might have like what is it called? So my family's from Trinidad, they'll say that, right? They tend to be, or Caribbean people in general are really, they're not just in the one thing. They make jokes about it on like different videos. I would see it on social media. And I remember also in Live in Color, they had this one thing about a Jamaican family and they also had 10 jobs. But I feel like there's some truth to that. So it's not in this one space. I'm feeling a little challenged. I do jump into something else just for that time being, just to give me just some time just to take a break from this. Yeah. But in that process of taking a break from here, I would also give myself a little bit of time to relax. I don't relax as much as I think maybe I could because my brain is always going, I need to do this, I need to do that. But I do tend to jump to different things just to be able to give me some time or a break from maybe a bigger project. And that helps me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that also how you deal with creative blocks when they come up? Because we all experience those as well. Same kind of thing.
Right.
Just kind of step away from it.
I do. Yep. I step away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And come back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What have you had to unlearn about womanhood, artistry, or leadership to fully become and step into this version that you are now?
I would say one thing I'm grateful that I grew up in a household where I wasn't taught that I'm a female and I couldn't do anything. It was never told that to me. Although I had a very male-dominated family, I was always told that I can do anything. So thankfully, I didn't have to unlearn anything there. The one thing I would say unlearning was being a woman of color, although it is very difficult in this area, in the areas in general. It's a lot. I would say it's a heavy load of just being a mom. Certain things I've experienced that my white female counterparts haven't experienced and they may never experience. But I would say even in that, I've had to unlearn that that everything is still possible. That even though I might have these blockages, I'm still able to do it. I may have to have a different route. I may have to go around, but I'm still able to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
That unwavering belief in oneself and in the work that you're doing.
Yes.
To create impact in the world.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
When the camera's rolling or the shutter's clicking, what unspoken truth are you always trying to capture?
When the camera's not rolling? I want to make sure
No, when it is rolling, when you're filming, when you're using your camera to capture still images, what is the one unspoken truth you're always trying to capture?
I would say truth. And I always feel like truth is in the eyes. So I notice that when I'm taking a still image, or even if I'm filming, it is I can sense the kind of the story of the women that I speak to just through their eyes. When it goes from being, I would say and this happens before the camera comes on, but being a little, I guess maybe like a little anxious about the experience, and then seeing that moment of where their eyes soften and they just they take a breather and they relax, and I feel like they're in good hands. So I feel like that's the unspoken truth. Is that what would you call that? It's like they just tend to. It's that moment where I can see that they just calm down, they settle in. Yeah. I think that is unspoken truth. Yeah.
Out of all the projects that you've worked on, what is one, I know, and this is hard to pick because it's like asking you to choose one of your favorite kids, the projects, right? But what has been, or what project have you worked on that has been that has had the most impact on you?
Definitely my first project. So Feminine Transitions had the most impact on me because it was the start of my career as an author and photographer, even though I've had exhibitions prior to this, but having this body of work that embodied the beauty of women as we transition has definitely been the pivotal moment and the inspiration behind the work that I create now, even in the narrative realm. So definitely Feminine Transitions.
And what inspired you to create that project?
So that was the same experience with the professional photographer that told me it's the ugly work.
The wrinkles.
Yeah. So she actually inspired that. I was so pissed by that experience that I actually put my camera down for about a year.
Wow.
And I was like, I really don't, if this is what photography is, I don't want to be a part of it. And it took me about a year because I was working in the media, doing media work with AOL and Nat Geo and then Discovery Channel. Just doing it as a photo editor, and picked up my camera prior to leaving that work. And I was like, I'm going to create something to show people that this is not ugly and that we are beautiful just right here. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. What does it take? What does it really take, in your opinion, to make art that either one punches people in the gut or moves them to tears or action?
I think what's interesting about my work is I think I can do both in one experience. So I did this campaign just on my own. I was just like social media. I think it started off maybe it was on Instagram, or maybe it could have been on one of the social media platforms, and I called it fuck your beauty standard. And I put the hashtag fuck your beauty standard, and I showed the pictures of the women.
Love it.
And then I had a quote about beauty on each picture, and I shared it, and that actually got the attention of one of the Huffington Post editors, and then she reached out to me to do a story. But in that same moment of having that hashtag, a woman would tell me that she cried at the moment of seeing that picture, and she saw the image and the beautiful quote. So I think I definitely had this power to do both.
That's I love that. Fuck your beauty standard. That is so powerful. That's a very powerful statement.
Right. Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it goes back to what we were talking about is all of this bullshit, false narrative about what beauty is.
Yes. Yep, exactly. Yeah. I wanted people to be aware of it.
That is a beautiful thing. That is it's a huge responsibility to carry, to do that, to do something like that, to create something like that, and to stand up against the beauty standards, the beauty industry, and what they have created. Kudos to you for doing that. I think that is so incredible.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Now, as mentioned, you are also the founder of Brown Women in the Arts. Yes. You built that because the system wasn't designed to see, support, or uplift BIPOC women.
Right.
What moment made you say, fuck this, I'll build my own table?
Yeah. That's actually just feeling like there wasn't enough space or platforms for us. Although I would love for it to be more interactive, I wanted it to be a space that we are not just waiting again, like waiting to get the funding, waiting to get the collaboration, but that it's women of color on various fields of focus. So you can be a photographer, you can be a videographer, you can be an artist, visual artist, you can be a spoken word artist, but a platform that we can then gather and we can support each other without really the worry of, it doesn't mean I'm not promoting people not getting paid. So it's completely up to the person, the individual, to decide whether or not they want to work on a project together and collaborate and not get paid. But I think it's really, I wanted it to be a space where we don't have to worry about that, and that together we can help to build each other up. And that means by collaborating, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier that each one of the projects you work on, there was a catalyst moment that led you to the next project.
Right.
So what was there a catalyst moment, or what was the catalyst moment for starting Brown Women in the Arts? Was there something in particular?
Yes, it was. I was actually joining groups and just felt like there wasn't enough of us in the room. There wasn't enough of brown women in the room. And then if it was a space where we might have shared our work, or that to say, hey, is anyone interested in collaborating? There's a micro budget, or there's not really much money involved. But if anyone, it was always, even now, up to now, I would join a group and it would be, the response would be like, oh, this is not the space for this. You need to be able to only pay. And honestly, it was coming from white women.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to create a platform where we are able to, because we can relate to the fact that funding is not as easy. Not that it's easy for all women in general, but it's most definitely harder for us.
Yeah.
That's oftentimes what we might even more tend to want to collaborate, because we understand that space. That's why I created it.
You are so inspiring, Alyscia. Honestly, it's just your reluctance to put up with the bullshit and build your own fucking table.
That's
like, if it's not there, fuck it. I'm going to.
Right, literally. Yes, I'm going to create this.
Absolutely. I admire you so much, Alyscia, for all the work you're doing and how you're helping women of color and just creating these incredible projects to say, fuck you. This is who I am.
All right. Yes. Yeah. That's exactly it.
I love it.
You said that so well. That's exactly it.
What does being seen, like truly seen, mean to you? And how does brown women in the arts reflect that sacred visibility?
I would say being seen has changed me as compared to when I first started. I really thought being seen was Hollywood, and it was getting a platform where it was millions of people. But I've learned through the process of the work and the projects I've created that being seen just means that it's the community that I work with. So whether it's locally or people that have connected with me, even in other countries, that these few people see my work and they connect with it, and that there's an impact from that. So community is one of the biggest forms of being seen for me, more than it was in the beginning when I got started.
Yeah, I think community is absolutely everything. Community, collaboration.
Yes.
Those two things are absolutely key. We can't do this thing alone. It's impossible. Yes. We need to surround ourselves with heart-minded, like-minded people that have the same beliefs, so that we can help lift each other up. That's part of why we're all here, is to support each other.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
it's everything.
It is everything. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, sometimes they forget that, or maybe they've gotten to a point where they feel like they may not need it anymore. But I always tell people to think about when you first got started. Yeah. What did it look like?
How do you think you got
there? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, simple. That's simple.
It is. Yeah. It really is. But so many people can't grasp that concept.
Right. Yeah. They'd rather make it harder for I'm like, I don't understand why you would want to make it harder, including things like just sharing something as simple as sharing information. Yes. Which is something I openly share with people. It doesn't matter, black, white, whatever. I share whatever information. Somebody contacts me, is like, hey, how'd you get a grant? I share that. This is information meant to be given. Giving you information does not take away from me.
No. Yeah. And see, I think this is the key, right? Is this comes from a lack mindset.
Right.
People think that if I hoard my knowledge, if I share my knowledge, then that person's going to do better than me. Right. No, there is more than enough in the world for I don't care what industry you work in. I don't give a shit what type of business you have. There is more than enough work. There is more than enough abundance and money for everybody to go around, where no one could want for. It's share the knowledge. Share. Why wouldn't you help someone?
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, what's meant for you is going to be for you. Nobody can take that from you. People are afraid to sometimes, filmmakers, I find them sometimes afraid to share a film festival. But the thing is, even if it's 10 more people that you happen to share this festival with, and they submit their film, who's meant to be in that festival, depending on the person, on the panel judges, are going to pick so I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Why hold it back?
It comes from a lack mindset. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah.
We need to shift that consciousness and that belief system because, again, I can't say it enough. There's more than enough to go around for everybody. And sharing your knowledge doesn't harm you. It only helps others. And that's part of our journey here.
And that comes back. I don't think people realize that too. That lack mindset also stops you from going forward.
And the abundance mindset also comes back to you as well. When you share, it's going to come back to you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about your TEDx journey.
Yeah.
You've done a TEDx talks and that whole experience. Was getting a TEDx talk a big deal or a big dream or a goal for you? Was that a bucket list item? Because I know it is for a lot of people.
Honestly, it wasn't at first. I saw the opportunity. It was actually, someone had sent it to me. Oh, because they saw that I posted my video about the accessible art exhibit that I had. So that's another example of how something stemmed from that. But I'm a public speaker, but I often go to schools, women's studies, and I have these conversations about women and beauty. It's actually called Fucking Beauty Standard.
Yeah.
So when that opportunity came up to do the TEDx talk and to talk specifically about how artists can make the art accessible, that was the first time I think I was really nervous to do a speaking engagement.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful experience because then from that came artists that connect with me and were like, I didn't know that this was possible. I didn't think about this before. I think that it was more of the blessing in that it was also sharing something that people learn from. But now after doing it, I was like, I do this often. I do something and I don't realize the impact until after it's done. So it was that TEDx talk was that moment as well. I didn't realize the impact until after it was done. Like, it's definitely a bucket list.
So what can you share a little bit about what the inspiration was behind the talk? You said, can you make your art accessible or how to make your art accessible? You share a little bit about that?
Yes. So that was from actually Marguerite Woods, who was she was a participant in my project, I'm More Than My Hair, which is stories of women who've experienced alopecia, which is hair loss. And so she was the person who stood up during the actual conversation at the film screening and said that she loved the film, but the only thing that she couldn't see it because Marguerite is blind. She said because it didn't include audio description. So I told the story in the TEDx was the foundation of making art accessible was because of my experience with Marguerite, but then also bringing it back to the story with my mother who is disabled. My mother has a stroke she suffered when she was 25 years old, so it left her with paralysis on the left side of her body. So I connected the dots to my experience with my mother being disabled and why accessibility was important. It was imperative. Like something that we couldn't think. It wasn't just like maybe this, like it had to be available for her. So when Marguerite presented me with this, like it wasn't accessible, I was like, I have to do something now. So I told the story in the TEDx about
those catalyst moments.
Now I have to do it. She told me I can't ignore it now.
Yeah.
So that was the story in the TEDx talk.
Incredible. Well, what advice do you have, you being a public speaker, what advice do you want or could you give to someone who wants to take their message to a global stage but doesn't know where to start?
I would say just start where you are. I think sometimes people want to go and they just want to do big, which is great. It's great to have that as a goal. Start locally. I started off just doing speaking engagements that, from women that knew me although I didn't go to the church, but they go to church and they're like, I love the work that you're doing. Come speak at my church. And then it went from there to doing some work at libraries and local schools. All of my children's schools, I've been there to talk. And then it went from there to colleges and the TEDx. I always tell people start where you are locally. People, you have something that's a story to share. Local colleges, local schools are looking for people to give inspiration to the children. So that's always start there.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Alyscia. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I would say my unique superpower is I don't give a damn. I'm so serious. Like I really don't. There's something my kids always tease me about. They're always like, Mom, I think it's because I'm originally from New York, but Mom, I think it's just because you're from New York. Like you don't care. And I don't know if it's that or maybe it's the combination of my family who was, from Trinidad. They're also really blunt. They just tell you exactly what they think. I didn't grow up with, there was no
sugarcoating.
No sugarcoating anything. And if people don't, and I'm always willing to have a conversation. Tough conversations does not scare me.
Yeah.
I think that's the superpowers I really know. It's okay. It's okay to feel differently about something. Like it's okay. And we can walk away from that and we can still be good. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's okay. I really don't care.
There's no reason why two people cannot have differing opinions and still get along. We are not always going to agree with everything that everyone says. We're going to have different opinions. And I think part of that is about being curious. Like, how did you arrive at the way you think? What brought you to this point where this is what you believe about X, Y, or Z? It's about getting curious and wanting to know how these people arrived at these opinions and knowing that it's okay to have differing opinions and still remain friends. Like you think about the current political landscape in your country. And I've said this many times. I don't think I have ever seen so much divisiveness in politics among the people. So much hatred and anger towards people for their who cares if that's who they support. There was a time where it was rude to talk about your political affiliations.
Yeah, I know,
now it's just all out there, and people are getting hate because of who they support.
Oh my gosh,
it doesn't change the person as a human being.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I don't get it, to be honest, and I care not to get involved in that either.
No,
that's all based on opinion. Why would you fight somebody based on the opinion?
They're entitled to it.
Right, yeah.
It's mind-boggling. It really baffles me why people get so caught up in that bullshit. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of success, Alyscia, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
Success for me is having a thought. I feel like this kind of gives me a rush too, but having a thought and then seeing it into fruition, that's success. It doesn't matter how small, how big it is, but saying I'm going to do something, having the thought of doing it. I actually start off writing notes about, so when I look at my first book, Feminine Transitions, I had a picture like that I sketched out and the name of the book that I wrote. I got up in the middle of the wee hours of the morning. And so for me to see that thought and to actually see it into a physical project is success. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment is, for me, I feel like it's the vehicle that actually, I would say it's the movement of change, of positive change. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, we're gonna jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3, 4-word answer type thing. Okay.
Okay.
How would you describe yourself in one word?
Authentic.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Not giving a damn.
Not giving a fuck.
Yes, not giving a fuck. Yes. I would say being rebellious. I know that's a fire, but yes. My rebellious nature. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would that be?
Do it anyway.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
My mindset.
What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
What? That's a good one. Want but cannot buy with money. I would just say the best of health. Yeah.
What is one word you could use to describe the woman you're becoming?
Pivotal.
Love it. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send to you ahead of time.
Okay.
If you could take one feeling or one belief and bottle it up and give it to people, what would that be?
Bottle up and give it to people. I would say it would be courage.
Courage.
Yes.
Love it. What is one lesson that your career has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their life?
That determination seals the deal. Really, you got to keep pushing yourself forward. Yeah.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
I feel like you did really good. To be honest with you, there's nothing I feel like you could have asked me that you didn't ask. You're really good at interviewing.
Thank you. I received that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Alyscia, what is your why?
My children.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh, that would be Maya Angelou. And I think because Maya Angelou, she just did so much without going the traditional route. Really had I don't give a fuck attitude, although she was very gentle with it.
Not as gentle as much more gentle than you are. Is that what you're saying?
No, I feel like she wasn't I don't think she was really just really direct in her. When I look at her interviews, really to the point. I admire the work that she created, all the challenges that she went through. Yeah, I would sit down and have a conversation with her. Yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
I always tell my children that don't worry. It's a waste of time and energy.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Lastly, Alyscia, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
I would say something my daughter recently shared with me. She did a, I know this is longer form, but she did a piece on me at school about a Renaissance woman. And she had to pick a celebrity, but she said, I'm going to pick my mom. So I would say that the beauty of being a Renaissance woman, really.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Alyscia, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I had so much fun. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your experiences, and your work. I appreciate you taking and making the time to be here with me today. It has been such an honor and a pleasure having you on the show. I am honored to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. Thank you so much for all that you do, the work you do, and for just being who you incredibly inspirationally are.
Oh, thank you so much, Brad. And thank you for what you do, because our voices would not be shared on platforms such as this without you being able to do this. So I appreciate all that you do as well, and inviting me out to come and have a conversation with you. So thank you.
Thank you. I received that. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Alyscia Cunningham. She is a photographer, filmmaker, tactile artist, TEDx speaker, the founder of Her House Media, the founder of Brown Women in Arts, and a multifaceted award-winning author. Alyscia, thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you, you too. Nice talking to you.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.